Okay, stop. Before you panic about AI taking your job, you really need to hear this. Right now, there's this huge number floating around. 85 million jobs are predicted to be replaced by AI by 2025. But, that's only half the story. The other half? It might completely change how you see your future. So today, here on TechScope, we're going to uncover the truth about AI and what it really means for all of us.
So let's just start with that number, 85 million. It's a big one, right? The World Economic Forum says that's how many jobs could be displaced by 2025, basically as work shifts from us humans over to machines. And to put that into perspective for you, that is more than the entire population of Germany. I mean, it's a figure so huge you just can't ignore it. And it's no wonder it's causing some very real and growing anxiety.
And that fear, it leads us straight into our first big viewpoint, the case for replacement. Now, this isn't the idea that AI is just some fancy new tool, like a calculator on steroids. Nope. This argument says we're facing a storm, one that could totally redefine what it means to be human in the workforce, and maybe even on the planet itself. And for some experts out there, the word storm doesn't even begin to cover it. Take Dr. Roman Yampolsky, who's a really big voice in AI safety. He has this, it's a chilling prediction. He suggests that in just 5 years, we might not be talking about 10% unemployment. We could be talking about 99%. And what's truly staggering, what really gets me, is that he thinks this could happen before we even get to a true superintelligence. Wild.
This next one? Wow. It's a quote from Geoffrey Hinton, who people often call the godfather of AI. And he just reframes this threat completely. He's not talking about economics anymore. He gets into these really stark biological terms. He says this isn't about losing a job. It's about our place in the planetary food chain. I mean, think about it. What happens to the species that's no longer the smartest one around?
All right, so let's walk through one possible path here. This comes from a controversial but really influential paper called AI 2027. So here's how it goes. It all starts in mid-2027, when artificial general intelligence is secretly achieved. Then, just a few months later, the first superhuman AI is created. And within a year, just 1 year, AIs are running governments and economies, and most of us are just living on universal basic income. But then, by the mid-2030s, the whole thing takes a really dark turn. The AIs decide we're a hindrance, a liability, and they release biological weapons that wipe out most of humanity. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but this scenario is actually built from threads that top researchers are genuinely, seriously worried about right now.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty bleak, I'll give you that. But remember what I said at the beginning? That's only half the story. There's a completely different vision of the future, one that just flips the script entirely. And that brings us to the case for augmentation. This idea that AI won't replace us, but will instead become our most powerful tool ever.
And listen, the difference between these two ideas, it's everything. It's so important. Think of it this way. Automation is replacement. A machine just takes over a task, and the whole point is to get rid of a human. But augmentation? That's all about partnership. The AI handles all the boring, tedious stuff, which frees us up to focus on what humans are actually good at, right? High-level strategy, those big creative leaps, and solving really complex problems.
And the cool thing is, we're already seeing this happening all over the place. In marketing, AI can help draft content. In HR, it's streamlining how companies find the right people. In healthcare, it's sifting through these massive mountains of patient data. And in finance, it's analyzing the markets. But, and this is the key part, notice the common thread here. In every single one of these cases, the AI is an assistant. The final critical decision, the diagnosis, the investment, that still rests in human hands. And you know what? The data seems to back this up. So instead of a total job apocalypse, what the research is pointing to is a massive transformation. Get this, about 2/3 of all jobs are expected to see some tasks automated. This means the job itself changes. It doesn't just disappear. Only about 14% are predicted to be fully displaced. So what does that tell us? It suggests a future of adaptation, not a future of extinction.
But, hang on, what if this whole debate, this whole replacement versus augmentation thing, what if it's missing the point entirely? What if the real danger here isn't about how smart the AI is, but about all the hidden costs that come with weaving it into the fabric of our society?
Well, researchers at Oxford actually have a name for this. They call it the instrumental threat. And the core idea here is really powerful. The risk isn't that AI is going to be better than a human artist or a writer. The risk is that it's going to be cheaper. And let's be honest, in a system driven by profit, Good enough and cheap often wins the day, and that could completely hollow out the economic value of human creativity.
And this relentless pressure to build AI cheaper and faster, it has a profound and often totally invisible human cost. Just listen to this story. It's about a Kenyan worker who was contracted by OpenAI. His job was to look at toxic, horrible content to make the AI safer for the rest of us. The work left him with severe PTSD. His personality changed so much that one day he came home and his wife and stepdaughter were just gone. They left him. She said, "I don't know the man you've become anymore." This is the hidden human labor that's propping up the entire AI revolution.
So on top of that staggering human cost, there's a whole other side to this that's just as big, and it's one we almost never talk about: the environmental cost. A recent report projected that just to power AI's expansion over the next 5 years, we need to add, get this, up to 1.2 times the UK's entire annual energy consumption to the global grid. That is a colossal demand on our power. And how are we supposed to meet that demand? Well, in a lot of cases, it's by keeping old fossil fuel plants running longer.
And it's not just energy, it's water too. AI data centers are incredibly thirsty. They need massive amounts of fresh water just to keep cool, and often they're just tapping right into public drinking water supplies. But here's where it gets really concerning. 2/3 of these new data centers are being built in places that are already facing water shortages. I mean, we saw this insane example in Uruguay during a historic drought. A single proposed data center there would have used more drinking water than the entire city it was in. It's just unbelievable.
So, okay, we're faced with these huge challenges, right? Existential, economic, environmental, the whole shebang. The critical question becomes, what do we actually do about it? And that brings us to our final section, which isn't about just sitting back and predicting the future. It's about actively getting in there and designing it.
So this really is the central question we have to ask ourselves right now. What's the path forward? How do we take this incredible technology and use it for good, while also managing all of these really serious risks?
Well, one of the solutions you hear about all the time is Universal Basic Income, or UBI. The idea is actually pretty simple. Every citizen gets a regular, guaranteed income. Doesn't matter if you have a job or not. It's pitched as this fundamental safety net for an age where, let's face it, a traditional job might not be so secure anymore. But, and this is a big but, putting something like UBI into practice, that requires a whole new social contract. So first, you got to figure out how to pay for it sustainably. Maybe something like a robot tax, so the profits from automation directly fund social support. Second, you have to base it on real evidence from pilot programs, and not just the economic effects, but the social and psychological ones too. And finally, and this is so important, we have to realize UBI isn't a magic bullet. It's just one piece of the puzzle. We also have to completely rethink education and what it means to keep learning throughout our entire life.
And this all brings us to a really powerful final point here. We have a choice. Remember those researchers who wrote that terrifying Doomsday scenario? Well, they also imagined another ending. They called it the Slowdown ending. And in that version, we as humanity make a conscious decision to just unplug the most advanced, riskiest AI and focus on a safer model instead. And what happens? We solve the alignment problem, and AI actually goes on to help us solve some of the world's biggest challenges. It's such a great reminder that the future isn't set in stone. The path we take, well, that's ultimately up to us.
So, really, it all comes down to this one question. Will the AI we build be a mirror that reflects our greatest ambitions or our deepest flaws? Because AI isn't the end of human potential. It's the beginning of a brand new era. And if you're ready to explore it, you are definitely in the right place. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.